y'all doing? It's fucking Apollo Justice. Jesus Christ. This game supports an autosave feature. Cool. How about a feature that allows me to fucking fix the settings? Thank you. Gameplay. Fuck you. What? Oh. That fixed it. Okay. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Apollo Justice. So, I'm gonna be perfectly honest here. I've never played Apollo Justice. I got one game out here in the fucking West. And I haven't played Apollo Justice. It only got one game out here in the West for 3DS. It was a limited release. And here we are, years later, and I've always wanted to play these games! And I bought the fucking collections for Phoenix Wright fucking loyally for years. And my faith has been rewarded! Ah! Also, I don't give a shit about Palworld. Stop bringing that garbage up. It's garbage. I don't care about it. Anyway, moving on. We're here for Apollo Justice. We're here to sniff glue and solve some crimes. Yeah! Fuck you. Turnabout Trump. Oh, are we prosecuting Donald Trump? Ooh, this is stylish. Showdown time. Well, you lose. Ah! Eek! Who died? Who died? I seem to be in a bit of trouble. Something like that. Dead. Someone hit him hard. Me? Please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. Oh. April 20th, 9:37 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby number 3. Okay. Panicked, palms sweaty. I can admit it. I'm nervous. Ah, good morning. Oh, I need to give him appropriate voice. Good morning, sir. You look tense, Justice. Wound up tight? Wound up, sir? No, I'm loose. I'm fine. That screeching noise, is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial and it's a homicide. I guess justice doesn't start small, eh? I'm fine. I got a 5 a.m. to do my Chords of Steel voice workout. I'm fine. Ah, that explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality to your screech. Overdid it again. know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down, if you get my drift. Drift gotten, sir. I'm all over that drift. As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. We can't let this case fall through. Yes, I'm fine, sir. One more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. My name is Apollo Justice. If it isn't clear already, I'm a new attorney. And today is my first trial. Not that I'm worried or anything. The defendant has been accused of murder. My boss wants to help him out, of course, and so do I. I mean, there's no way he did it. Not him. No way. Hey! Whoa! Good mornings. Morning. It's all up to you today. First trial. Nervous meeting him. Cardiac arrest. I think I'm supposed to say something. Help? So, you're... Fine! I'm fine! Ah, Mr. Fine, is it? I did remember you having an odd name. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney, and he's your friend, so why? You'll see. Huh? You can do it. Be confident. I'm really sorry this happened to you. I mean, It's time. Shall we? Yes, sir! But where are the gay lawyers? Here he is. Okay, I need to focus. First trial. Here comes justice. April 20th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Wait, weren't we in waiting room number 3? Pain! This court is now in session. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is, fine. I mean, ready, Your Honor. Mike, don't panic. Ah, too late. Your name was Mr. Justice, and this is your first trial? Yes, Your Honor. But I'm fine, really. Are you quite sure? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Mr. Gavin. Yes, Your Honor. I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case. That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always cede to his client's wishes. And my client specifically requested Mr. Justice. Well, of course, he wants justice, but to entrust his case to this greenhorn. Why? I do not exaggerate when I say that you're the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin. Okay, so Gavin's got trial experience. Fine, but does he have the cords of steel? Then let's begin. The defendant may enter the courtroom. This truly is an unfortunate turn of events. I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. Long time no see, Mr. Wright. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm merely Phoenix Wright, piano player. Mr. Wright, how could this have happened? I won't speak of it further, then. If the prosecution would be so kind as to explain the charges, Mr. Payne. To think I saw you enter this room a fresh attorney, and now I'll see you leave in chains. Ah, Winston Payne, subtle as ever, I see. The crime occurred at the Borscht Bowl Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer, and he hit him, wham, on the head, smack, killed him cold. A customer at the restaurant, you say? And the defendant, you say he was... The pianist for the club, it seems. Phoenix Wright, a pianist? This is the weapon that took the victim's life. A bottle of grape juice. It's wine. We know it's wine. Don't lie to me. Grape wine is apparently our defendant's drink of choice. The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence. Oh, where's my court record? Hold on, hold on! Court record! Oh, how long did I yearn for one of these? Just putting it on makes me feel ready. Time of death was around 2 a.m., April 17th. Death caused by a single blow to the forehead. Okay. This is a bit weird. Oh! Oh! Nice! Cool, okay. Character profiles. Boss at Gavin Law Offices, a first-rate defense attorney and my trusted mentor. Pianist of the Borscht Bowl Club, formerly an ace defense attorney of some renown. Victim in this case, a traveler only recently back in the country. The prosecuting attorney, for all of his experience, he lacks a certain presence. Okay. Something to note, Justice. All evidence is filed in the court record. Make a practice of checking it frequently. The court record. Right! I've heard of that! Use E to look at the evidence so far. I'm confident in your ability to handle this. Right, just use E. Sounds like it's time for some hands-on action. So, the victim was a customer at this restaurant. But just who was this, Shady Smith fellow? We believe he was a traveler, Your Honor. A traveler? According to his passport, he had been out of country for a number of years. He had only returned to this country recently, though his place of residence is unclear. And he had some sort of connection with the defendant. That, too, is unclear at present, Your Honor. We believe they first met at Borscht Bowl Club on the night of the crime. If they had only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim has slighted the defendant's piano playing. That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least not piano playing. I'll let this photo explain what I mean. As we can see, a game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime. Wait a second. Isn't poker gambling? That's a crime in and of itself! Indeed, it appears our defendant has fallen to become the basest sorts of criminal. Objection! It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim, yet it was only that, a game in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor. A competition? Yes, a test of wits. A silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame. No, it's fine, well. Come again. The cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defense was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present and impress women. Oh my god, guys. Oh my god. Did he just call our boy a simp? Did he just call our boy a simp? We can't let that lie down. We're tearing his throat out. That will be our first order of business here then, to find out more about this fatal game of cards. Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure. This is it. My first trial. Here goes nothing. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. The room where we played and the competition in there are club's main attractions. The rules are simple. Play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is. Game. And our customers are happy. A pianist who can't play piano. Better than a defense attorney who can't defend. Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Right, Your Honor. First cross-examination. Don't blow it. Are you alright? You're sweating bullets. Bullets? Where? It's a figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too. My brain feels strained and raspy, sir. You've watched me perform cross-examinations many times. No, you've never done one yourself, have you? Careful Refresher? What to do? Should I ask Mr. Gavin for a refresher course in the examination? We can press somebody, and then we show evidence. But this is with number 3. This is with the other titles in mind, so I have to do this. Better safe than sorry, especially this early in the game. Yes, teach me! I know nothing! Indeed, your job, Justice, is to be mindful of the court record and the testimony. Look for inconsistencies in the testimony with what the court record tells you. When you found an inconsistency, that's when you present the conflicting evidence from the court record with you. But I didn't hear anything strange at all in the testimony just now. A good sign that you need to press E. Press the witness with Q for more information. Press him? Don't let the fact that he's a remarkable man hold you back. Get more info. But isn't Mr. Wright my client? Well, think you can do it? Yes! Thank you, sir! I think I can do it. I think you'd better, or we're going to have a problem. Just remember, find any inconsistencies, any lies in the testimony, and reveal them to the court. That is cross-examination. Learn it, know it, do it. Inconsistencies, lies. Phoenix Wright? As if Phoenix Wright would never lie. It's up to me to prove it. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Alright. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. Hold it! You can hardly play? Ah, I play sometimes when customers demand it. So I play them one song. That's usually all they want. Is that supposed to be a boast just now? The title of pianist is a mask, a respectable face I wear for the world at large. And why are you really at the Borscht Bowl Club? My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. Hold it! They pay you just to play poker? That would seem to be the case. I am professional, after all. Do I detect pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hard-working member of society like me to imagine. Yes, your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston. What? I've played poker for 7 years in that living room, and I've never lost, once. What? You see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw. Wait, you never lost once? Not even one time? As I said, I'm a professional. He's played poker for 7 years and not lost once? Is that even possible? The room where we play and the competition in there are the club's main attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. Hold it! 2 decks of cards. A simple measure to prevent cheating. If you alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. There's something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lying scattered on the floor. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor. Each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we used 2 types of cards for the club. One deck of cards was red, the other blue. As I recall, in poker, you make 5 card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yeah, a game of hands. That's all it is, a game, and our customers are happy. Hold it! Alright. The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction. It has quite a history, actually. The Borscht Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. Black market? All in the past, things like the black market are only the silver screen nowadays. Suffice it to say that there were a lot of deals being made at the table. Right there in that room. A smoky room, gambling hoods, you know. Just looking at this picture makes me feel bad. The bosses gather around the table, cutting deals safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watch through the small window. I can practically picture it now. That window, does it look like it would be good for keeping a lookout? The room had a few other tricks to it, though it was common knowledge to irregulars. At any rate, they'd come to play poker in a room steeped in history. Despite its dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. This competition you're talking about, I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right. It was a simple game after all. Are you sure? Huh? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Defendant, you were in the room the very moment that the crime occurred, yet you claim no connection to the crime. That's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of objection from the defense. Ah! I completely let that one slip by. Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir? Right, there's something I'd like to make clear. Namely, your connection to the case at hand. And I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well, the defendant will amend his testimony. Just one little press. I've got myself a whole new testimony. I plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. Bears the defendant Mr. Wright's fingerprints. Okay, how do I present?
Objection!
Oh. So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon? This grape juice bottle? Right? So I said. Is something the matter, Mr. Justice? Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb. What's this, Mr. Page? I examined the bottle in question, you see, and it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints. Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Excellent yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case. But my cords of steel. Anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? That's true. The prints also don't prove he did it. Oh, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints. Huh? But the fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down! Upside down? What does that mean? It means he was holding the bottle inverted, and there can be only one reason for that. Yes. Yes to the brain someone with the bottle. Huh? Mr. Gavin, I think things just took a turn for the worse. Well, I see no problem, Justice. Huh? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything. We'll see. Defendant, can you explain your fingerprints on the bottle in the court? I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now. Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case. I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason. Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. And what might that be, Mr. Gavin? On the night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police? Reported? Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright. But still, that... Really? Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder was reported from the near scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone. Near the scene? Let's take a look at the diagram of the murder scene, shall we? Okay, we're getting more information. The victim was murdered in a small room in a basement 2 floors down from ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far now. The defendant used the stairs in this hallway to go above ground. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant. I see, and this is the phone that made the call. The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose. Yet he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported to the authorities. And you claim he is being uncooperative. Take a look at the cell phone quick. Oh, he's taped the back. No clues here. Wow, the battery's being held with a piece of tape. You should just buy a new one. Maybe he can't afford it, or just doesn't care. Okay. Death caused by single blow to the forehead. Nice save, Mr. Gavin. Better not waste this. I think the prosecution's toyed with our client enough for the time being. Toyed? I assure you, no one is more serious about... What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment the crime had occurred. How can you possibly know this? That's a good question. How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness. You're as good as they say you are. So someone else was in the room at the night of the crime? That must mean they witnessed the crime. Everything up till now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? It specifically said his forehead, so he got hit from the front. Very well. The prosecution may call its first witness to the stand. The witness will state her name and profession. Hold on just a moment. Where's the witness? I summarized that she has been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns. So I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns point in your direction, this court will cut them off. Are you sure? I swear it on my gap. Please, come on. Isn't violence against hair a crime, Your Honor? Well, if you're sure it is okay. Now, the prosecution. What? Wait a minute. Would the prosecution care to explain the witness's, paraphernalia? Yes. She is a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade. And that would be... My name is Olga Orly. I am employed as waitress in Borscht Boat Club restaurant. Then why the camera? Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht that is naming restaurant. But I also perform, how is said, other service? I take it one of those other services is taking the customer's pictures? Da. Like, for example, this one. That's the defendant? Indeed, on the night of the murder. The man in white hat is one who has gone kaput. Indeed, that is the victim. Order! This is quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps. It is the same as I drop cold bowls of borscht on laps of customers, casually. And the court will casually accept this new evidence. Hey, look at this. Shut up, Payne. Hold on. I need to look at something. I need to look at this picture. I need to get a deep understanding. Okay. Interesting. I can see the bottles that was used. Okay. And now, witness, where were you at the time of the murder? I was in room, the hideout we call it. Excuse me, the hideout? It is room where famous gangster bad guy was arrested. Is room where murder took place. What? You look of utter surprise. It is lovely. I will post by courtroom door later for you. Da. Photos will be numbered. You will write which ones you want copy of. So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the crime. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and Olga Orly, our witness. And Mr. Wright isn't the killer. That means... Very well, witness. You will testify to the court about the night's events. Let's go, chat. Let's tear this Russian girl apart. That night, customers asked me to deal cards for a game. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. Da?
The victim, he play whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. Then last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. The man flew at victim and is strangling him to death.
Hold on now. Hold on. That's not what happened. Let's take a little look at that court record. Time of death was around 2 a.m., April 17th. Death caused by a single blow to the forehead. He wasn't choked. He was hit. It was a blunt object. That's a lie! Lies beget more lies, chat! Incidentally, who won the game?
Isn't it obvious the winner was the victim, Mr. Smith?
Objection! That's ridiculous. Because Mr. Wright can't lose. Justice, maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection.
But he hadn't lost in 7 years. Take it from me, kid. It happens. I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as a prosecutor either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here.
Oh shit! He had a royal flush.
The hand and chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith.
Chips, you say?
Duh! I mean, yes! Imagine that poker is war. Your hand is your army, and the chips are the spoils.
I know that, after all. In my youth, I always was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3. I think he means poker face. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table.
Okay.
Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness. Sus witness, not enough vodka!
Okay, it was... Oh, I gotta press R.
Objection! Objection, Your Honor! Oh, really? Strangled, you say? That's odd.
Duh! Normal customers only choke on borscht.
No, I mean, this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Miss Orley, really, did you witness the crime? Oh, damn! That's skill! Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything.
Yes, it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor. Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during our investigation.
Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? This head certainly was hit.
We're getting so much fucking evidence. But I seen it happen. Defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck.
Oh, really, Miss Orley? I think I've caught you in your own line this time. Justice, I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more.
What do you mean? I found a contradiction.
There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination.
There's such a thing as thinking too much? This horse is dead. Let's stop beating it. There's such a thing as thinking aloud too much, too. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for a game. I was cold. Both players with hats on, that? The victim, he plays whole time with his hand unlucky at his neck. The last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. Done. After defendant tried to strangle victim, he hit him with bottle.
Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do.
Right, sir! Leave it to me! There were only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and Mr. Wright isn't the killer. I've got you now, Orley.
Hold it! You were dealing cards. Do you do this often?
Duh, I am doing this. If customer wishes it, I serve anything. Borscht, cars, more borscht. It is my work.
Good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service.
Welcome to Borscht Bowl Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitress.
Thank you for not handing out flyers showing the cross-examination.
It was cold. Both players played with hats on, da?
Hold it!
It's already April. How could it be cold? At Borscht Bowl Club, we have pride of authentic rustic Russian restaurant beef. Outside, it is city in spring, but inside it is always cold as Mother Russia.
No way am I going there.
When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, da? Victim, he plays whole time with his hand and unlock it at his neck.
Hold it! His locket?
I believe it was good luck charm, da? He gripped it many times as he played that night.
Yes, he must have felt as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Though if it was small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift.
The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about? I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket?
Of course, I knew that. It's probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it that.
No, a locket's a locket. It doesn't really have a shape. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the heart of hearing in our society. Hard of hearing, or hard of understanding? Boss, check the crime photo. So what happened? What am I looking for here? What am I looking for here? There's no locket. Oh, fuck! No, go back. Deal me cards. It was cold. Both players play with hats on. The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on his locket at his neck. Yeah, he's got a locket there. And there's no locket. She's wearing a locket. Oh. Well, do I present this?
Objection!
Oh, that is right. You know, there was one curious partner testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said. But what does it mean?
Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about?
We'll recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand on locket at his neck, I believe she said. I hope you weren't about to raise an objection to witness's grammar. No, but look at this photograph. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean?
If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death.
Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. And it's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no?
Taken it off?
Wait, you don't mean the defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all? He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it?
Ah. Defendant, what do you have to say to this?
Say. Yeah?
I just noticed this, but you have something hanging around your neck, don't you?
Oh? I mean this? Yeah, it's a locket. Photograph inside. Photo. My daughter.
Come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter?
We confirmed at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. So Mr. Wright has a locket too? I don't want to buy that. This is just a coincidence.
Well now, if the results of the poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game.
Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost badly.
Miss Ori, you will testify to the court about the gameplay between the victim and the defendant.
Da. Serious competition. The game began with 3,500 points in chips for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who is winning, it was the victim. For last hand, defendant play with all chips on the table and lose. The moment loss was decided, defendant grab bottle from table and...
Indeed, looking at this picture, it does seem to have a one-sided game.
As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. Failure must have been a bitter pill to swallow.
Ah, how many times have I heard these words? I did it in a fit of anger, Your Honor. Common tale, but true.
Methinks the judge watches too many old court movies. Mr. Wright said he hasn't lost in 7 years, so this testimony must be wrong. The game began with 3,500 points in chips for each man. Are those usual starting points? Were any special rules used? No, not special. Usual game, usual rules.
If each man began with 3,500 points, then the total would be, exactly 7,000 points.
Please, this isn't calculus. It's not even long division. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. They do come in two sizes. The one who is winning, it was the victim. You're telling me that Mr. Wright, undefeated for 7 whole years, was losing? It must have been most unlucky day for him. I am glad I did not take out a picture of him. He would break camera, certainly. The chips, they went always to victim-sided table. So you're telling us it was a one-sided game? One-sided, and... For last hand, defendant play with all chips on table and lose. Last hand? It was largest points of any hand. The defendant's hand was excellent. He tried to use it to take victory from behind.
It appears that both the defendant and the victim's hands are in this picture.
That is truly an excellent hand, however, so is the victim's. Oh, I see, okay. One with highest number wins, so the defendant loses. The victim, Mr. Smith, had a stronger hand than the defendant's and crushed it. I believe that explains what occurred next. Once cards laid down on the table, it happened. Anyone else keeps noticing she keeps talking about chips? The moment loss was decided, defendant grabs bottle from table and... Check the card suits. Yeah, but he's got a better hand. He's got 3 kings and 2 aces, and Phoenix has 3 sevens and 2 aces. I don't know poker. What am I missing here? Same with the photo there. What am I missing here? And what happened next? Even to think of it now, I shake and tremble. Kings are higher than sevens, but a full house, 3 of a kind, 2 of a kind, is a very strong game. Yeah, but they both have 3 of a kind and 2 aces. What such thing? Please, you must believe. I had no idea. How could such thing occur?
What such thing?
Niet, 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 niet! The defendant had been hitting victim. Da! I saw it all happen right before me. I saw a bottle coming down on victim's head. Decisive, isn't it, Your Honor? My witness saw the very moment of the crime.
Exactly, it's impossibly low hand. Remember, your first goal is to gather information. Yes, sir. Look out, contradiction, here comes justice. Unless you're using 2 decks. Keep the victim's head cheated, somehow got one of the decks. No, because she was the one that was dealing. Exactly, we don't see the back of the cards. No, that's way too easy. I'm gonna just present this.
Objection!
Nope, that was wrong. I'm not sure I follow you. Contradictions, I thought... I'm lost. I don't think that won't mean any points with the judge. Play with all chips on table and lose. I hate that, like, I have to go through, like, a whole thing. The game began with 3,500 points and chips for each man. How's chips come in 2 seconds? Are the chips in this photo all the chips that were used? Da! Of course! Something's fishy with these chips. Should I press harder? Press harder. Maybe you could explain a bit about these chips?
Explain? What is there to be explained?
Poker chips are poker chips.
They're not fishing chips, not a chip off the old block, not a motorcycle cop. Thanks.
Now that I've pressed her, I better ask something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars or rubles even?
Yes, as I've been saying before, it was game, or gambling. Hard perhaps for capitalists to understand. 2 types of chips, 100 points
and 1,000 points.
It is not money, duh.
Justice. Sir? Don't you find her comments interesting? 100 and 1,000. I have it added to her testimony myself. Well, what does the defense want the testimony to add to her add to the testimony? Yes, I do think this deserves further scrutiny. Add to the testimony. I wish I knew where I was going with this. Okay. So each of these is 1,000. Each guy starts with 3,500. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. 10,600. That's wrong. That is so wrong. Very well, witness, if you would be so kind.
Da, Your Honor.
Objection! There we go! You're sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure.
It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at the picture is enough to tell you who won, if you're not thinking in kindergarten.
Just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points?
Why, the big ones, of course. Duh.
Oh, I thought so too.
But then the totals don't add up.
The totals?
let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips, and the combined total value of chips was 7,000.
Yes, if my calculations are correct, let's see, 3 plus 1, give it 5.
They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. If the big chips are worth 1,000 points and the small chips are worth 100, and you add them up, how much is it? Do it yourself. You aren't a kindergartner, are you? 10,600. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's testimony. But why? How could this be? Exactly, Justice. Now that you know the what, you must determine the why. Right, there's only one possible way to explain this contradiction. Oh, we're both right? They were splitting it both ways. Oh, they were doing 3 ways! Oh. So both were right? So then Aramis was right. There were 3 players, but then why was there only 2 sets of hands? Remember, there were cards on the floor. Shit, my paintbrushes are all over the fucking place. Hold on. Shit, fuck. Because you cover up the fact that you were playing. Both were right. Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all chips were indeed shown in this photograph, then there could be only one answer.
Well, what is it?
The value of the chips was the other way around.
What?
Want to know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000 points, not the big ones. Madness! Utter madness! Show me that photograph of the chips again. That makes sense! There are 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Why, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up. Oh, they were backwards. Okay. Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself. Well, I'm just glad I was the one who said it. But wait! The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing.
Indeed, the victims did have the large number of chips still.
Ah! Exactly. If the small chips are 1,000 points and the large chips are 100, let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table.
The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900 points. The defendant had 4,100.
Well now, it seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all. That's impossible. My client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning. Yeah! Now, Mrs. Orley, you must have known the true value of the chips since you were there at the scene of the crime. Weren't you?
Order! Order! It appears our defendant has lost his motive, and Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. We must now ask ourselves whether we can trust the witness's Excuse me, what is it, Miss Orley?
I did not want to be saying this, but actually, you see, see what, Miss Orley? What do we say? In the last hand, there was cheat. What? A cheat? You don't mean a trick?
Wait, or do you mean a scam?
They're all the same thing. Yes, there was cheat in last hand. That is why game ends with chips as they are. Great, just great. First we have lying, now cheating. Oh, this case certainly is taking a turn. For the interesting.
Witness, you will please testify to the court. Tell us about this cheating. Cheating in the final hand.
the final hand. The last hand, both men had full house. There is 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument. The defendant's trick was exposed. He took bottle in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith. Miss Orley, why did you not tell the court about this from the beginning? I thought I smelled a cover up here. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers.
The full house is a very high-scoring hand. Not easy to make in my experience.
That alone is enough to suspect less than scrupulous tactics. Mr. Gavin, what's a full house? Lawyers these days, you don't know your poker.
I can't say this bodes well for your case or career.
What is this, some kind of secret court poker ring?
Justice, you know the terms 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 of a kind, yeah?
Yeah, no problem. 2 cards of the same number make a pair, and 3 make it 3 of a kind. Good. Now picture a hand with 1 pair, and 1 3 of a kind. That's a full house. That doesn't sound very easy to make, does it? You can see each player's hand in this photo. They both have full houses. We forget there's an easy way to make a full house and go undefeated for 7 years. You cheat.
The defense may cross-examine the witness.
If he did cheat in the last hand, that still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand? Whoever heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat? Ironically, I'm well known for winning a full house. Shit! The last hand, both men had full house. There is 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. Yeah, no, that's true. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. Hold it! Point out. How was it clear? Well, the defendant, he played a 5th ace. A 5th ace? I still remember both hands very well. Hey, chat! We all seeing a problem here? There's a little bit of a fucking discrepancy here, chat. It appears that we have, count them, 1 7 2 7 3 7, along with 2 aces. Where's that 5th ace? And Mr. Wright's too. Obvious cheating was afoot, or perhaps I should say a hand. Wait, hold on. Did I get that wrong? No, there was no 5th ace there. There's fucking 4. Your Honor, perhaps this can be added to the testimony without Mr. Payne's joke.
Very well, the witness will add details to her testimony, please.
Mr. Smith handed 3 aces, and Mr. Wright had 5. Motherfucker! The fuck up, motherfucker! Objection! It appears the witness is mistaken. Mistaken? But my name... Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony.
That's the photo of the chips, is it not?
Justice, perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. In other words, use your finger to point out your point.
Yes, please point out the contradiction in this photo.
What peculiar point contradicts the witness's testimony? Oh, I gotta drag it? Take that! Miss Orley, in your testimony, you made the following claim. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces. But as you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held 2 aces! Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was the defendant's hand that held the 3rd ace in question. Take another look at the evidence. As you can see, the defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's this 5th ace? I see cheating all right, and it's going on right here in this courtroom.
2 aces in each player's hand does make 4 aces total. Hardly proof of cheating.
Wait, please. It is true. I have seen it. If it is, there was cheating, I swear to you.
That's odd. She must be lying, and she's the most sincere I've seen her all day. You're right to trust your instincts. Mr. Gavin? Who knows what lies in store for us in the trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards. The cards? Mr. Payne?
Yes?
The players' hands that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? The defense would like to request that the cards be shown in court. Very well. The prosecution will submit the evidence. Which will you examine? The victim's cards or the defendant's cards?
And these cards don't prove cheating was going on. Nothing will. Now, which of these hands is more suspicious? Vol 8. Okay, but here's a problem. Which one is suspicious? Fuck. Man, this is a pickle. Which one is the mysterious one? Check the floor quick. Floor. If the victim's photo was in color. Which hand do we view? There was cheating, I swear to you. It's 50-50 here. Okay. Feel like it's view the victim's hand. It was the victim's hand that changed over the course of the witness's testimony. The defense requests time to examine Mr. Smith's cards. Very well, Mr. Payne, if you would. Very well. Well, time's wasting. Get to it, Justice. Aramis, you were right, motherfucker! You were right! Look at that! Oh, baby! Oh, baby, you were right! There appears to be a fucking problem! There appears to be an issue! And we should get that tissue with that issue! Yes, sir. When examining evidence, be sure to view it from all sides and angles. Try using the arrow keys turned every which way and B and M to zoom in and out. That should give you a better perspective of the case. Okay, let's do this. The card backs are red. For some reason, I thought they were using blue cards in that final hand. Didn't you, Mr. Gavin? Which was it now?
Well, has the defense found anything of relevance?
I think I found out that I found nothing. Perhaps you'd best examine the defendant's cards before leaping to any conclusions. Or maybe you'd rather examine these cards one more time. Oh, do we examine the other hand of cards? Examine this hand again. Yeah, like, I already confirmed that it was... What? Okay, we have to zoom in and pick it. Your Honor, look at this. One of the victim's cards. The back is a different color. It's impossible. But they put that card in White's hand. What was that, Miss Orley? Yes, I nearly said duh. I had... Your Honor.
Mr. Gavin, yes?
Tell me, what is the easiest way to cheat poker?
To cheat?
I'll tell you. One merely needs a friend and a comrade, shall we say. The dealer. Wait, so you mean the witness, Miss Orley? She's the cheater, a professional item wager.
Order! Order!
Focus, Justice. Time to take advantage of her. I mean, of her mistake. Your Honor, please recall the testimony we just heard. It's impossible. But they put that card in Knight's hand. Ergo, Miss Olga Orley conspired to cheat. Not with my client, but with the victim, Mr. Shady Smith. Ooh. Not only did she cheat, she cheated poorly. Therefore, it's not hard to imagine an altercation between her and the victim. What? Wait, you don't mean the defense isn't accusing the witness, Miss Olga Orley, are you? Time for justice. There were 3 people in the room at the time of the incident. And if Mr. Wright isn't guilty, that means I am. The defense accuses the witness, Miss Olga Orley, of murder. Eek! Damn, that plate is fucking fine!
Mr. Payne, where is your witness, Miss Olga Orley?
It appears she has lost consciousness, Your Honor.
Mr. Justice?
Your Honor.
It seems you presented a new possibility to the court. One suggesting a connection between the witness and the victim, Mr. Smith.
And that means?
This court cannot pronounce a verdict for the defendant at this time.
What? Did it? I held out.
There's no point in prolonging this trial this day. The prosecution will need to make further...
Objection!
Mr. Wright? You can't end the trial here. Not yet. What nonsense is the defendant spewing now? To think, one of the cards had a different colored back. Don't you wonder what it means? What are you doing, Mr. Wright? Raising objections right when we're about to get you off the hook? Ridiculous!
Mr. Payne, you of all people should know, Mr. Wright has a talent for the ridiculous. Perhaps we should get to the bottom of things. Let's clear up the facts about the game that fateful night.
As was said before, we alternated between 2 decks of cards that night. As I said before, the 2 decks at the club have different colored backs, blue and red. 1 color per deck. Why use different colored backs? If we use the same color, the 2 decks might get mixed. You used different colors and they still got mixed up? We used the red deck for the last game.
I see, but that's odd. For some reason, I have this impression that you were using the blue cards.
Yeah, me too. I'm sure someone said something about blue cards. Whatever, in the end, 1 card in the wrong color got mixed into it.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit, I don't remember. It's the blue deck here. It's the blue deck here. Which means there was cheating. Yeah, card slipped into the deck would seem to indicate cheating. Yet this card raises two serious questions. Yeah? Let's consider the first question, shall we? Think, in the last game, when was the card swapped? When? There are three broad possibilities here. It could have been swapped before the murder, during the murder, or after the murder. Well, yeah, thanks for the new bulletin, Mr. Wright. Of course it was swapped. It might be as simple as you think, Mr. Payne, or it might not be. He had to go upstairs, right? He went upstairs for a phone call. It was switched after the murder. Because he left to go notify the police. I'd like to hear what Apollo thinks first. When do you think the cards were swapped? When was the card swapped? Perhaps it happened after the murder? What's that? Ridiculous! What's the point of cheating after the hands have been shown? That's silly! Yes, but tell me, how do you swap cards during the game? I'll take silly over impossible. Take it from me, son. There's a lot of silly in this world, but very little impossible. Oh, even when the backs of the cards are a different color? If you pulled that during the game, you'd be caught in no time. Ah, quite true. That would mean that the blue card in question was swapped after the hands were shown. After the murder. Okay, this is going past silly and straight out of crazy. I ask again, what's the point of cheating after the game's over? Who would do that? Indeed, that's one of the mysteries before us. There's another. Yes, a simple yet decisive question must be asked. Who swapped the red card for a blue card? Who? The game and murder is done. The victim is dead. Only two remain in the room, alive that is. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and our witness, Olga Orley. Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for a blue? Phoenix left. Why, it must have been Olga Orley who swapped the cards. She was trying to cover up evidence of the cheating. That does make some sense. Sorry. But there's a problem with that explanation. Huh? The swapped card was from the wrong deck. Yes, a blue card was stuck into a red hand. Mixing a card from the wrong deck when the backs are different colors. Remember that you're talking about Olga Orley. She was the dealer. Do you really think she would make such a novice mistake? Actually, I have trouble imagining even the judge making that mistake. Give it a little more thought, Apollo. Right. Well, it couldn't have been Phoenix. The one who swapped the cards wasn't Mr. Wright, of course. And, well, it doesn't seem like it could have been Olga Orley either. What are you suggesting? And it's hardly a logical conclusion, to admit. As the defense, I think it only makes sense for you to name Miss Orley at this point. Yeah, I know. But she was the one who dealt the cards, right? I just can't believe she would make the mistake of swapping the wrong color card. And if the card was swapped during the game, it'd be obvious. Something you would like to share with the court, Mr. Wright? Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. I was just thinking about how much fun all this is. Fun? How about confusing? I have no idea what the defense is claiming, Your Honor. I'm the one who swapped... If the one who wasn't swapped the card wasn't the defendant, and it wasn't Miss Orley, then who was it? Yeah, well, that is the question, isn't it? Precisely. Huh? I believe we're about to see this case take a new direction. A new direction? We'll find that indeed after the murder. Someone swapped one of the cards in the victim's hand, and that someone made two critical mistakes. I'm sure you're going to tell us that the first was swapping the wrong colored card, because the one who did the swap didn't know two colors of cards were being used. The other mistake was the number on the card. Right, the person replaced the fifth ace. Replaced the fifth ace with a king. I'm sure whoever swapped it wasn't expecting there to be a fifth ace after all.
All they knew was that the game had been won with a full house. So they picked up a king from the table and swapped it in.
But there's one problem. According to our case record, this person doesn't exist.
True, not until now. But you have to admit the possibility of a fourth person. Though it's more than a possibility. There was someone else there that night at the scene of the crime.
What?
I believe the judge spoke truthfully earlier. You do make trials ridiculous, Mr. Wright.
The trial is proceeded on as one central assumption. Namely, that at the time of the incident, there were only 3 people in that room.
I believe this new evidence, shall we say, overturns the assumption.
The problem is that you choose to conceal this information from the court.
I suppose that is a problem, yes.
The court is adjourned for a brief recess. Mr. Gavin will see you in my chambers during this recess.
Certainly, Your Honor.
Very well. The trial will resume in 20 minutes.
That was quite unexpected, Mr. Wright. To suddenly claim there was another person at the scene of the crime. I must ask, is it the truth?
Well now, I think you would know the answer to that.
Being mysterious, I sadly have no time for mysteries. I'd only ask that you leave the defending to your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome.
I see you haven't mellowed out one bit, Kristoff.
Justice.
Yes, sir?
The judge is summoning me into the chamber, so carry on with me.
You did well, Apollo.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
That locking room, is that really yours, Mr. Wright?
You're wondering about the victim's disappearing locking. Here, you can take a look at it. That's a picture put up in there. Hey! Cute.
I'm just surprised to hear you had a daughter. Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her on one of these days. One more question. The one who cheated that night, was it you?
What do you think?
Huh? You know what happened 7 years ago. What I did? It's not unreasonable for you to think I might cheat.
I never, honest, but...
It is odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years.
Wanna know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards all night and still win. Poker.
Huh? You see, poker is all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. Poker is like a trial law? You figure out what your opponent is thinking and you win.
Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds.
I think not. Try as they might to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. Their body language can become a valuable source of information. You're kidding! That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain points of her testimony. Did you notice?
No.
Come on, who noticed that? Words, habits, twitches. It's all information from reading. That's the secret to winning, Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secrets on to you.
But I'm not worried. I mean, there's no way I'll pick up on these signals.
No? You can do it.
Huh?
You just don't know it yet.
What's he talking about?
But you will soon. Almost forgot. One more thing. About this case. You should know, I haven't told the truth to anyone yet.
What? I knew it!
I have many reasons, of course, and all shall be revealed. And Apollo, I need you to be there defending me. I need your power.
My power?
No idea my courts of steel were that special.
It's time. The real trial begins now. Do your best. Son of a bitch! This is only part 1! What the fuck, dude? Okay, so it's not Orly.
It's our mentor. Nick made a pointed gesture at fucking our mentor.
Court will now reconvene, as our witness, Miss Olga Orley, recovered.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, she's regained consciousness. Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again. That's the thing, you see, she's quite fatigued.
You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne.
Sadly, fatigue is insufficient ground for refusing to testify or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Miss Orley take the stand.
Very well. This will take the stand.
Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession. Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poor loser. Not... Name's Olga Orley. That's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quickfingers Orley.
Oh, really?
Oh damn, she's got the handkerchief. She's got the handkerchief. Oh, I see why she has the camera now. She takes pictures and catches cheating. Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like oh really. There's that truth. There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied. Oh damn, dude! Oh damn, I was not expecting her to be hot! Oh fuck! Oh, she's got the gambling aesthetic! Oh fuck, dude! Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see?
Let me remind you that you are currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences.
Fine. Boss, focus. I can't. She's too beautiful. She's too hot. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy Smith hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Forge Bowl Club several days prior to the night of the game, as a waitress.
So you were in cahoots with the victim?
Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant. See, we set up a trap for Smith. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out a planted card and the trap would snap shut. You swapped the cards! Exposed the cheater and losing on top of it. It would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces.
Indeed. Getting caught red-handed at cheating would cast doubt on all of his prior wins.
A 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan. Oh, why are they showing me the back? Oh, really, Orley? How droll. But it appears you made quite the mistake.
A mistake?
I agree. The trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card? Hey, that's right. He's lucky, I'll give him that. You have to be to slip free from a trap laid by Olga Quickfingers Orley.
Oh, really? The witness would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind shtick.
Cute? Who wants to be cute? She is hot! I'm not cute. I'm bad. You hear me? Bad. Chat, we can fix her. Chat, we can fix her. We can do it, chat. Together. Yo, what those hands do, though. I'm going to hell.
When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court. Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung.
Focus! Never! That night, I planned the cards like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith. It was that no-good cheating defendant.
A surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark.
The trap was perfect. I tell you, perfect! If that rotten cheater hadn't messed up. Look who's talking!
Well, the testimony, for what it's worth, is all yours, Mr. Justice. With witnesses like her, who needs criminals? With defendants like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors?
Get yourself together! Hold on. There's a problem here. If Wright was winning, well, if this guy was winning, Wright has more chips.
Objection!
Shit, nope, that was wrong.
Hold it!
So everything went according to plan. Exactly. The fifth ace came up, so it's obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and a fraud.
There are worse things to be noticed, I suppose.
Tell us what happened with the search? But the planet card was gone. The trap failed.
Hold it!
The card disappeared? Yeah, my trump card, the five of hearts. Gone without a trace. Proof, Zippo. Five of hearts? We searched every nook and cranny, even inside his cute little hat. But the card was nowhere to be found, is this correct? Never in my long storied career. Never has Quick Fingers Orly been so readily duped.
Oh, really? So what had happened to the Five of Hearts?
Don't look at me. Why don't you ask that cheating, lying, two-faced defendant? The Five of Hearts is still missing in action. I see a heart down there. It wasn't me who had Smith. It was that no-good cheating defendant.
Hold it!
This planet card, which card was it exactly? The trump card. The Five of Hearts.
Let me guess. Mr. Wright was supposed to have switched the 5 with an ace to make a full house. At least that's what you were going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend.
I slid into Wright's pocket. When was this? Why, before the match, of course. While he was eating. At the Borscht Club, we have served borscht and suckers.
Remind me never to go.
Of course, the card was to make its grand debut during the game. Like a good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early and allowed to thicken. That's not clear enough detail. I can't make that out.
Hold it!
So everything went according to plan. Exactly. The fifth of ace came up, so it's obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and a fraud.
Hold it!
Wait, isn't that a little odd? Well, what's odd? You searched Mr. Wright thoroughly and found nothing? Which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well... Oh, she's rubbing the back of her head. What was that just now? I sensed something.
Something wrong, Mr. Justice?
Nothing, Your Honor. What do I do? Should I press her a little harder? Yes! Miss Orly, you're hiding something. What are you talking about? You? Me? Quick Fingers Orly? Hide something? The defense will refrain from baseless accusations. I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim.
Is this true?
Of course it's true. I did see it, honest. I saw it when Wright hit him. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it. What's this weird vibe I'm getting?
She lies when she scratches the back of her head. The witness, for instance, Miss Orley, she would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice?
I'm supposed to be watching for body language now, son of a bitch! Touching her neck is it? Whoa, what's going on? The sensation is coming into focus. There, that twitch, it's so clear. It's like I could perceive her habit, like I couldn't before.
Gotcha!
Miss Orley, perhaps you were unaware of this yourself. Unaware of what? Whenever you got us to a certain point of your testimony, you touched the back of your neck with your left hand. My neck? So what? What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory and she touches her neck. I'm sure of it. Now, memory, would someone care to explain what he's babbling about? Yeah.
This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us.
Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. So what would remind her most of the moment of the crime? Miss Orley, whenever you recall the crime that night, you scratch your neck. I've noticed it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an Your neck is this. She touches the back of her neck.
Take that!
Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And that reminds us more of that moment than this bottle, the murder weapon. But something doesn't fit. If you were the only witness to the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain? What's he talking about now? It was Mr. Smith, the victim, who was hit. Not you. If this is cross-examination, not cross-wild conjecture, the witness's habits, they're completely irrelevant. Justice, I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later, just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Miss Orley, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment. Yet, I am knowing nothing. What? We know you're not Russian. The witness will testify, please, now. Bah, fine. He's the one who didn't. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there. Who?
Hold it!
You seem uneasy. You try standing up here. Her eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me after the crime, what was the defendant like? Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at the table until the cops came. Intriguing. I believe you've gotten all the testimony you can get out of this witness. So what do you think about her testimony? I'll tell you what I think. Her testimony is flawed. Is basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence. What's that?
Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. The evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony.
She didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there.
I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. He went upstairs.
Take that!
Miss Orley, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know that the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. So, explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. Oh, why she got a bootylicious booty. The man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant. Okay, so who did? Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to Wright, and he hit me. You, some master of cheating, turned out to be. Eek! When I came to, the victim was already dead.
The victim was already dead, is that it?
That's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in league with Smith, I'd be suspect for sure.
Well, where does this leave us?
Madness! This is madness! I'm dreaming! It must have been me who was hit with a bottle, and I'm imagining all of this!
It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events?
Mr. Gavin, sir? I believe that is the defense in this case. We are compelled to call Miss Orley a big fat liar. What? Three were in that room the night of the murder. The defendant, the victim, and her. And she has a motive. A motive? Her plot foiled. The witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith. And then an announcement of that argument was murder. What? I'm no killer! It's a trap. Someone's trying to frame me. What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled we catch ourselves in the process.
Mr. Wright?
Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying?
Why not consider the other possibility?
That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder. Right, like Mr. Wright was saying before recess. A single card was swapped in the victim's hand after the murder. And the one who swapped the card didn't know two colors of cards were being used. A fourth person. Ha! This theory again! Your fourth person doesn't exist! Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal. The real criminal? And we're in luck. The clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided to us. And right at the beginning of the trial, no less. What? Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about. Sorry. Remember what I said. The fourth person who swapped the cards made one critical error. He or she wasn't considering the colors in the back of the cards. Well, but how could such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there is one person here in our court who thought those cards were blue. Yeah, I had that impression too. Why? It's Christoph. Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was? It's not me, I swear.
Who is this fourth person?
Why do I always get put on the spot like this? Let's see what the defense has to say. It wasn't. Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue?
Take that!
As I expected. Your
as your hair. I was right?
Christoph Gavin, you were the fourth person that night.
But, of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards.
How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which the cards are blue. The ones on the floor, on the table.
But look!
You can see the colors in this photo. Yeah, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light.
That's where I was getting screwed up! Oh my god! That's where I was getting screwed up! He said blue! My mind was thinking, oh, it was red! Like the red was the wrong color! No! It was blue! He said blue! Fuck!
Yet it was only that, a game, that made a sense, a competition. A competition? Yes, suggested points, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame.
There it is! Blue flame! Holy shit!
Well, Christoph?
Mr. Gavin?
Mr. Gavin, is something the matter?
No, nothing. Excuse me. It was just so sudden. Right. You weren't seriously accusing me, are you?
Oh, Christoph. You know, even I never take a joke this far.
This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant accusing his own defense attorney of murder.
I assure you, I'm quite sane.
But what possible connection would Mr. Gavin have to the victim?
I wasn't aware of that. I had a connection to Mr. Smith either.
Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim never even met.
Well, what if they have?
Huh?
There is a possibility, after all.
They may have met that night before the game started.
What are you suggesting?
Is this the truth Mr. Wright was being silent about? Well, only one thing to do.
Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify to the court.
The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin? Testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happen before that game of poker be related?
I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin.
As I explained before, the defense believes that Miss Worley...
Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you.
Oh, okay.
Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony? Yes!
This was Mr. Wright's strategy. He was playing this all along, and I intend to see it through.
The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court.
That too, Justice? You would betray me, your teacher? Sorry, Mr. Gavin, this isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth.
Very well. The defendant, Mr. Wright, will take the stand, please.
I'm not being implicated for murder. Fuck that.
That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph.
What?
Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut in his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin.
Mr. Gavin, you were at Borscht Bowl Club at the night of the murder?
I dine with him rather frequently.
And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder.
Quite against my will, I had become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, Mr. Wright? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now.
I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong.
What the fuck did Phoenix do to him? I don't know. Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness. Justice.
Sir?
He's lying, and you're going to expose him.
Understood, sir.
Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright, this can't end well.
Why can't I have a normal trial?
Because fuck us, I guess. That evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in the photograph.
Hold it!
You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yeah, he dines with me at the Borscht Bowl Club quite frequently. We were enjoying the usual dinner at our usual spot as usual. Usual. We always eat at the table closest to the piano.
I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting.
So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner?
Indeed.
Remnants of the meal was with Kristoff. We dined for 2 hours, then Kristoff left after that. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left.
Hold it!
5 minutes? So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time. That would have been a fateful encounter to be sure. Oh, Mr. Wright, what was it you said? Kristoff, Gavin, and Shady Smith may have met? I believe I did say that. Here I was all nervous about this meeting, and now we hear they just passed in the hall?
That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder.
Oh, it would be, if that were all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress.
Hold it!
About this failed trap, this is the same trap that Miss Olga Orley mentioned. The plan was simple, elegant really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and the 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card, and the trap would snap shut. You swapped the cards! Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Yes, a harmless prank in essence. It was by a quirk of fate that it happened to discover. A quirk? It happened to put my hand in my pocket, and the card. The card she planted. Yeah, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game.
Dispose? Where?
There was an empty bottle of grape juice that I had just been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. An empty bottle of grape juice? The murder weapon. Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see. Oh, come on! That would have been a cute little thing. Like, to have the card in that way. Hold on. Ah, come on.
That sounds like terrific drama.
Card inside a murder weapon. That's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look.
Mr. Wright, the poker head of courtroom number 3 approves of this battle of wits.
Enhance!
Please revise your testimony with this new information.
I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle.
Objection!
Check the cap. I'm trying to figure out this case.
Hold it!
A little bit. Why in the bottle? I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. I'm used to entrapment, you see. I knew that was coming.
Oh, so you struck first. I like that.
I know every trick in the book. They don't work on me. At least when you get lucky and stick your hand in your pocket, they don't. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police.
Hold it!
till after this case. Hi, baby. I'm pretty sure I'm near the end. Sure. Okay. You made the call to the police on the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night after all. So there in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. A cut? There's no cut on his forehead.
Objection!
Son of a bitch!
Hold it!
And when you returned, the victim was already dead. Yeah. I'll admit, I was a little startled when I walked in.
A little. He was bleeding from his forehead, after all.
I guess I'd be startled too if I walked in on a scene like that. And I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin.
Hold it!
Could you explain why you called Mr. Gavin? He's obviously gotten involved in a rather sticky affair, and I figured Christoph's law offices would give me a friend for my defense. I'm glad to hear you intend to pay. Oh, I'll pay in full, Christoph. It was I who got you involved, after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my friend. Quite high. Is this the truth that Mr. Rick was talking about? Justice, you know what you have to do. He's lying. Expose him now. Yes, sir. I have to think. What's Mr. Wright trying to tell me in this testimony? The truth has to be in there somewhere. Okay, I'm looking this up. Hold on. I'm lost. Sure. Yeah. Coke. Go to the bottle and check the label. Since I drank grape juice. Apparently, it's Mr. Wright's favorite drink. I wonder how well it goes with borscht. I'm looking up a guide. Oh, there's nothing in it.
Objection!
I had to... Fuck off! Mr. Wright, if I may. Yeah. I've examined the bottle and I don't see any card in there. No?
What, Mr. Wright, surely isn't all you have to say for yourself. Can't say that I know what happened to the car. They did put it in that bottle. However,
Huh? Perhaps a fifth person came and took it out. Oh, and a sixth could have helped.
Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client.
My apologies, Your Honor. I won't have you disparaging our investigation either. We looked inside that bottle. There was nothing. So what's going on? Did Mr. Wright hoodwink us again? Or did the car just disappear? Oh. Push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? Apparently in the walkthrough, it says, now present crime photo 1 on statement 5. 1, 2... He wouldn't have known that.
Objection!
He still had the hat on. Mr. Wright, if I may. Yeah. Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Justice. Next time you point out an inconsistency, put a little more oomph into it. Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court? Oh, I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put the hat on his head. You put the hat on the dead man's head. He wore it through our entire poker game. After calling the police when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view. Shining bright, just like in the photograph. And picked his hat up off the floor and put it on his head. Why'd you do such a thing like that? All I can say is, sorry. That's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So, Miss Orley didn't see it. It being the victim's or his head. I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client's determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin, this witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Kristoff. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone? Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Huh? But I noticed the trap. I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. I put the hat on his head. Let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. A reason? That reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night. Recall that I spoke with Defense Attorney Gavin after calling the police, just in case I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the court. Kristoff, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. Well, what's this? Game not going well? Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you, he turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone china plate? It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please, the cop should be here any minute. I'm in your hands, should it come to that. Bone china plate. A kind of porcelain very smooth and shiny, and not plate, but pate. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. The court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second, something's not right about that phone call. So after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club? Most certainly. Then how did he know? When did he see this? Bone china pate. Oh, that's right! Yeah, that was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Troubled, I returned to the crime scene. And when I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court. Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So, this is your reason? The the reason why you put the victim's hat back on? Your point, Mr. Gavin? It's come down to this, has Phoenix Wright.
Order! I will have order, Mr. Payne! Yes, Your Honor. I believe this court has been led with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear Defense Attorney Gavin's testimony?
Well, the prosecutor,
Very well. We'll break for 10 minutes, after which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for a cross-examination. Are we clear on that?
Crystal clear, Your Honor.
Very well. This will be your final recess for the day.
But then why is Phoenix after Gavin?
I don't know.
Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this? May I? Hey! Phoenix's daughter! Oh, what? Hello, sir. Please, pick a card. What's this all about? Is this one okay? Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it. A trump card? The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely, and the game is yours. That's all. An ace. Where do I remember the card from? Mr. Smith's hand was 3 aces and Mr. Wright's 2. It is 5 aces in all. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating. I swear to you. The missing 5th ace. Wait, this blotch of red. Is this blood? You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw. The truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it. This bloodstained card. Use my trump card for finding the truth. I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what all this meant. That girl, I'd seen her recently, but where? That's when I made the connection.
All things are about to get fun! Court will now reconvene. Defense Attorney Christoph Gavin, you will please take the stand. Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, Mr. the witness state his name and occupation. Is this farce necessary, Your Honor?
Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom.
Fine, I'll play along.
But first, there's one thing we need to have made clear.
How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's hat? By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest.
Objection!
Hey! I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin. Mr. Wright? What do you think you're doing, Wright?
Wow, things sure look different on the other side.
You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off except for that one time. That one time being the instant he was hit.
Oh!
When Mr. Wright returned from reporting the crime, the hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have had to been there in the hideout at the time of the crime. In other words, I must be the real killer. Is that what you're trying to say?
Not bad, Apollo. Mr. Gavin?
I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with you yet.
What?
Oh, I assure you, I have no business intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet I'm afraid in the current situation I see little reason to hide anything. Very well, allow me to tell you the truth of what happened tonight.
Finally, you may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in the events of this fateful night?
The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window of the hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead as he appears in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Mr. Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me at the time, so I left. That's when the call came for Mr. Wright.
So you witnessed the murder?
For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed.
Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you were on Mr. Wright's defense team? Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client.
What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand, after all.
So you are Mr. Gavin.
And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. Mr. Wright, you had to say that, because that was the only probable window of opportunity. Right, Apollo?
Oh! Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared?
Wrong! I was the defendant in the fucking red-blue case. And I had to defend myself! Thank you very much. Yes, Your Honor.
I can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial's getting weirder and weirder.
Okay, I'm just cheating and using a guide. Fuck this. We're supposed to press this fifth statement.
Hold it!
Those were the only three at the scene of the crime? Yes, as far as I saw, at least.
Then we're back where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could have been? But why didn't you talk to the police?
Two reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment. Second, my office was asked to defend me. Even after seeing what I had seen, I couldn't abandon my friend.
Objection!
There must have been someone else there at the moment of the crime.
Justice, I just said I saw no one, not a soul.
But that goes against what Mr. Wright said.
Ah, yes, this mysterious fourth person. Who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose?
Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin.
Let me pose a question. Tell me, what possible reason did the real killer have to swap cards in the victim's hand? Perhaps you could show us a reason why such a thing would be necessary.
How can I show something I can't find myself?
Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the fifth ace. The fifth ace, right.
Well, Mr. Justice, the question of why the killer would swap out a card has been raised. Can you point to a reason?
Show evidence. Present the bloody ace. The defense would like to present evidence to the court. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out.
Then go ahead and point to your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the fifth ace?
Take that!
My reason is, this.
Is that an ace?
Why, it's got blood on it! Right next to the spade!
What? Hey, this is insane! Why wasn't I told about this? Why?
Could this be the missing fifth ace?
Inconceivable! How could you... What were you doing with that card?
Well, that's the thing.
Why is Mr. Gavin so upset? It's just a fishy card from some fishy girl.
Oh, that card? It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Bowl Club that night, after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards as her stock in trade at the bar.
Objection!
No, impossible. Unacceptable. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud.
A fraud? How can you be so sure?
What?
I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason? The reason for the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime.
Where are you going with this?
Taking a look at the photo, and at the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell off the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down to the back of his head. Couldn't be a drop of that blood falling on one of the cards, I suppose. The killer then took the card to hide the blood.
Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible. Oh? Right, regardless of how you wasted the last 7 years, you used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence! Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? You wanted to know why the killer would have taken a card from the crime scene. And now I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence.
Objection!
This is baseless conjecture! Baseless!
Objection!
Oh, I assure you it's quite based. Based! Based! Kristoff is cringe! Based evidence! What? It's amazing, really, how a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo? Yes! Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head. Ooh! The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. And before the killer swapped a card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there is one decisive problem with this scene. Well, what is it? The window can't see the players. Let's keep it simple, shall we? Given that there was a drop of blood on a card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit? The victims, the killers, the witness, or the second witnesses? It's the second witness. Look, even if you have a full view, you can't see much here.
Take that!
The second witness's position is the problem. The second witness, that would be Mr. Gavin, yes? The second witness's position is far less problematic than yours right now, Justice. Or perhaps perilous is a better word. I cannot see what the blood-stained card has to do with the second witness's location. I'm afraid you're more than penalty this time. Your Honor, one more chance, please. I suppose. Do think it over, Mr. Justice. Oh, present the V.
Take that!
Well, isn't it the victim's position that's the problem? I don't follow your logic here, Mr. Justice. Well, look, the victim was stuck on the head, sending him back in his chair. You think any blood would fall behind the body, not onto the table in front of him? Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, the blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards. Why, that's right. So what does this mean? Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs. Swivel chairs? Oh, man. Apollo, try turning the chair around. Oh, okay. The chair was facing the other way. It would have to be. So we have to assume that at the time of the murder, the victim's chair was facing away from the table. When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police which way the chair was facing, when he came back to the room, the bloody... Oh, that is a swivel chair! When he came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo. That would mean the killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We know Oh, now the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder. But this creates another significant contradiction. Again? Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The victim, the killers, the witnesses, or the second-hand witnesses? We're supposed to present K.
Take that!
The victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. Well, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front, sitting where his indicator currently is? I would think it'd be quite hard, yeah. Yes, but what you're saying makes no sense. Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of a game? I believe a sufficient reason will soon come to light. What? There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here. Where would his assailant be standing? Try marking it on the diagram. What? But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Don't worry, let's think it through and see what we find. We know the victim was facing towards the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else.
Take that!
The killer had to be standing well, here! You get points for flair, but that's about all you get. I thought I was onto something there, too. I hardly see to point out that standing there would be impossible. The victim is facing a solid cupboard. Or are you claiming the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from above? It's simple logic, really. If this was the only place the killer could have been standing, then that means that in the very moment of the crime... Wait, I know! At the moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there! What's this now? I mean, that's the only explanation, right? Mr. Gavin? Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard in the hideout immediately. Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Have them try to move the cupboard. Your Honor? What? There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this to the bailiff. Mm-hmm. Yes, I see. You do belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright. I do my best. Let's forge ahead here while we wait. Look at this diagram once again. It's been changed. If the killer was standing here at the time of the crime, when this cupboard wasn't here, which means, Apollo, try moving the cupboard. Thank you. As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. At the time of the murder, it was to have been as shown here. He can't see shit through that. Now everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my, what's this? What is it now? Look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. It appears we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Huh? Oh, dang! Notice something, Apollo? The line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion. Now then, Mr. Justice, please point out the new contradicting indicator. Either the victim, the killer, the witness, or the second witness. Well, right there. About this cupboard, are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Sure, why not? Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit. The cupboard would completely cover up the window to the stairs. Ah, that's right. Someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin. What did you say? Oh, is that the coolest defense in the West losing his cool? Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window of that room was blocked by the cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court exactly where did you witness the crime scene from? Excuse me, Your Honor. Order! This is a court of law and I will have order. We just now received word from our investigative team at the Borscht Boat Club. They've examined the cupboard in the hideout, Your Honor. Oh, and what did they find? Well, Your Honor,
Turns out there is a secret passage behind it.
What?
Yeah, I believe I mentioned something of the sort before. This is one of the tricks of the room that many of our regulars know about. I do remember him saying something about that, now that he mentions it. A secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal goings-on. You never know when you might need to duck away from the hands of the law. So the room has a secret passage. Where does it go? The other side, I connect to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops and enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. You see where our line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo? I see it, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. At the time of the murder, the window was blocked and the victim's hat was only off his head for a few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder. Did Mr. Wright return from calling the cops? In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin? Come on, say something!
Dare I ask what really happened that night?
Actually, I think we can probably figure out for ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith, a date with destiny. There, he crouched hidden in a secret passage behind the cupboard, holding his breath, waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came and he took it. Ah! Miss Olga Orley was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But his time was soon to come. Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Then our killer stepped out from the secret passage and into the hideout. The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He wheeled his chair around to look, and after the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would, of course, realize the need to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him, he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cards on the floor. And the fact that they were all red.
Well, it seems this trial has taken yet another turn. I'm truly, truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin.
Mr. Gavin?
Mr. Payne!
Yes, Your Honor.
The prosecution will continue its investigation. As for Mr. Phoenix Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion.
What?
Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin. But I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately.
Objection!
Oh, no need to apologize. I'd rather enjoy myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand. Your point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick.
Excuse me!
The defendant is cleared of all suspicion. This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. And not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney.
Illegal evidence?
Objection!
Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin, is there still any reason at present to suspect me of wrongdoing? Of course, this bottle, for instance. The bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking. How do you intend to explain away the fingerprints of the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne? Actually, yes. The fingerprints on the bottle were upside down. I seem to recall this being an issue earlier. I can't think of only one reason why one would hold a bottle upside down, and that is because someone was the bottom of the bottle. Well, Your Honor?
I see how the caught fish squirms to the last. No, Apollo? Yeah? Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still. But I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation just like that. Yeah, just like what? Why would anyone grab a bottle upside down other than the... Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is only legitimate one. Is there really another? Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find a simple answer there. Plain say. I'm almost done.
It would be hasty to deliver a verdict with unanswered questions. Well, Mr. Justice?
Mr. Gavin said the court in this case demands an explanation. Don't worry, justice won't leave until justice is done.
Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court. What evidence do you have to explain why the fingertips on the bottle are upside down?
Present Olga's photo.
Take that!
It's actually easier to show you than explain, Your Honor. Place that bottle on the floor next to your chair.
Excuse me, on the floor?
Yes, now reach down and pick it up, without getting out of your chair. Ah! See? You naturally go to pick up the bottle by its neck. With your fingers upside down! Look at this photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor on the side of his piano bench. Fuck, I'm tired. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times.
Wow, I can't believe it was that simple.
Recall our dinner that evening, Kristoff. I was drinking my usual wine then, too. Basically, you used the bottle on the table to do the deed. But then you must have remembered. So you went and picked up one of the bottles from under the piano. And you switched the bottles. You took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon.
Order, order, order! What do you have to say to these charges, Mr. Gavin?
Fascinating. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection.
What?
You claim that I switched the bottle. Where is your proof?
Proof?
Well, that's, as I thought, more basic conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle of proof is quite...
Objection!
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor, when you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall I requested an additional investigation?
Yes, I have your memo about that here. Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Porsche Bull Club. And here's one of the bottles in question.
Are you going to dust that for fingerprints too? I would be surprised if any were on that but his. Mr. Gavin probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake true. That bottle won't bear a trace of anything. Say, Apollo. Yeah? Why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle? But why? Just humor me. Mr. Wright, that bottle will solve this case once and for all. What? That's some bottle. Oh, there's a card! There's a card! There's something inside the bottle. There's a card! What? What's this? A card! It can't be! Recall that unpleasant woman's testimony for a moment. Miss Olga Oli? Yeah, our little swindling debauchka. That night, I planned the card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed. Oh, wait, this isn't... You're telling me that this is the planted card you disposed of? The one you mentioned in this piece of testimony. I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found the card. Yeah, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card.
Disposed? Where?
There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. Threw the card inside the bottle. 5 of hearts. This is the card. The bottles were swapped. The only one who could have done that was the 4th person in the club that night. You, Mr. Kristoff Gavin.
Mr. Gavin, I have a question. What is the 5 of hearts?
The 5 of hearts is the 4th person in the club that night. You, Mr. Kristoff Gavin.
Mr. Gavin, I have a question. What is the 5 of hearts?
Oh, Yangi.
That is all. Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright?
Revenge? Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago? My past passes like my logic. Straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction. Fine. I'm glad we could have this little tete-a-tete, right? This is insane! What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone? Fuck!
I believe this time we finally come to an end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin?
He's admitted everything. We're processing his arrest now.
I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. And even have a connection to the victim, did he?
No, none of that we know.
Mr. Wright, have you anything to add? I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter. About the victim, Mr. Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traffic. Not procession to be sure, and that's all we know about him?
I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor.
Good, Mr. Wright.
Yeah.
7 years. Still haven't lost your touch. Christoph Gavin, and much significance for me. Both as a friend and a lawyer. He was extremely talented, to be sure.
I needed 2 things before I could confront him. The first was a place where no injustice would be tolerated, this courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney, you, Apollo. Me. This is a dark time for our legal system. A twisting of justice brought on by our very own initial trial system. We have to set it right. Mr. Wright, our work lies ahead of us. I, for one, am looking forward to it.
Well, this seems like a good time to announce a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
Woo!
Court is adjourned.
Thanks, Paul. You came through, just like I thought you would. I'm pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. It was you who cornered Mr. Gav, the killer. I couldn't have done it by myself. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your ability. Ability? Yeah, sensitivity I lack. You'll come to understand soon enough. Wait, I wonder if it means... I have one question for the witness, then. You say you saw the moment of the defendant hit the victim. Is this true? Of course it's true! What's this weird vibe I'm getting? What was that, Mr. Wright? You'll have to find the answer to that question yourself. The answer? Right. Today was full of questions without answers. Most of them about Mr. Gavin. What possible reason could he have had to commit murder? Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come. Huh? Wait, you don't know, do you? This locket is the key. Oh, that reminds me. I met the girl whose picture is in your locket. Your daughter, right? That's right. She's my daughter. You know, you were right about this locket. Yeah. I took this off his neck today. It looks like a dear Russian scammer saw me. So the truth is, this locket really did belong to me. Wait, but that's perjury! You testified! You said that locket was yours! I said no such thing, actually. Huh? I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. And it's the truth. Wait, but then why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside of it? Sometimes the straightest path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started in your career. Speaking of which, I may just be out of a job. I work for Gavin Law Offices, after all. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs. Apollo. Yeah? How about coming to work for me? Ah! You mean at the Wright & Co. law offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it. I can't imagine that to be true, but... Wait, but didn't you... You're not a... Oh, I turned in my badge, yeah. I'm not an attorney anymore. That incident 7 years ago. That legendary trial. And at the middle of it, all was one man. Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion. He left law for good. Have you ever thought about coming back to the courts? I'm not qualified to stand in a court of law, I'm afraid. Didn't you notice in today's trial, there was a single piece of forged evidence? Forged evidence? What are you talking about? I'm talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. A naughty magician's trick. One piece of evidence struck me as odd. It's true. It just seemed, well, too perfect. I'll bet this was the forged evidence.
Take that!
You mean this? Don't you? I got this from your daughter, Mr. Wright. Yeah, that card couldn't have been found at the crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left. Leaving the wrong card in his place. For us. The court can't accept this evidence. It's fraud! Fraud? How can you be so sure? You would think the only person who could claim it was the fraud. Would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago. And you really... Yeah, I had forged this card. And look at the crime scene, you could have told it... Should have told you it wasn't me. But you can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney! Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo? So it's true. The rumor is true. 7 years ago. None of that matters much now, does it? I punched him? It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office address. Drop in if you like. Mr. Wright. Oh, about your uppercut. Try yelling, "Take that," next time. I find it packs a little more punch. And Apollo, thanks for the day. I had a good time. And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door. That's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved, and at the time, I had no idea where they were all related. Every mystery that day, connected by a single thread of logic. I'd find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins. Okay! A good first story! Alright, my food is here, I'm tired, I want to go eat. So, please, don't forget to donate if you have money. I very much appreciate any donation given to me. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. Good night, everybody.